Lovely. So my guest today is Heather Waring of 1millionwomenwalking.com. And Heather is a walking coach, and she coaches people in walking. She takes people out on walks like the Camino de Santiago. And although her website is called 1 Million Women Walking, everything she says here today is just as relevant for men. And the reason why I asked Heather on here is because walking's been very useful to me in the last few months. So I had a family member die, and walking was my way of finding solace during that time. It was my way of taking time out for myself at that time, and also staying fit and healthy at a time when it's very easy not to. So yeah, personally, I've seen the benefits of walking in many ways. So I thought that Heather was the woman to get on and talk to. So Heather, tell me a little bit about yourself, because I know you found walking to be equally transformative for you in the past, haven't you?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very interesting because when I think about it, there's one walk that stands out in my mind when I was about 16 years of age. And little did I know on that beautiful day walking around the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland that walking would become such a major part of my life. And I suppose really walking became a major part in my life when it first helped me get over a back problem, and actually that happened very quickly. And you know, as you alluded to, walking, it doesn't necessarily take a long time for you to feel the benefits of it. And actually it can make you look very different. So, you know, that time for me, I got asked in about 6 weeks, you know, had I been at a spa? You know, what was I taking? How was I glowing so much? But the biggest thing for me in walking was I burnt out in 2014. And I really turned to walking. And at that point in time, because I was quite exhausted, because I also had adrenal fatigue, I couldn't walk the distances that I'm passionate about. You know, I love my long distance walking, but that wasn't necessarily appropriate at that point. But just first getting out into the garden. And for me, walking is very aligned with nature. I mean, walking can often take us into nature. And, you know, wherever we live in this country, we are really lucky in that usually somewhere there's a bit of green space, whether it's a local park or a little ribbon of greenery that runs at the back of houses, or a sports field, or a forest or sort of canal, something like that. And gradually I found that just by walking in the garden made me want to walk a little bit further and a little bit further. And I built it up to become really a major part of my recovery. And I went on to write a book, so plug for the book.
Yeah, time for plug.
My walking saved my life. And really, I think it did, because I think if I hadn't got into walking in the way I did, I would have continued on a slippery slope, because walking was the thing that allowed me, as I mentioned, to connect with nature. But also when you're in nature, when you're walking, there's a rhythm to walking. You know, try it out for yourself, guys. You know, just get into that walking and just listen in a sense and be aware of what happens, because your feet start a rhythm and that slows your pace. And that's sometimes just what we need, because our heads are so full of stuff. And then when it slows your pace, you start to be much more aware of what's around you. So things like mindfulness come in, things like meditation come in, you know, and you start to be a bit more in the moment, and you start to feel that much more connected. And so all of those things together played a huge part in getting me through. And the book tells my story of, you know, the whole burnout thing in my recovery, but also why I do what I do now, influenced by that journey, and also the legacy that I have for the future of my business, because I do believe that walking is a force to be reckoned with, that we have forgotten about. We've forgotten about the power of this simple activity, you know.
And cheap.
And cheap. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things that, nearly everybody can do.
Yeah.
You can do it from your front door. You can do it, from your workplace. You can do it when you go on holidays. You can do it when you take a break and go visit somebody else. You can do it anywhere. And all you really need is a pair of comfortable flat shoes. So don't try go walking in your heels, ladies, because you won't go very far. But a pair of flat, comfortable shoes, a pair of trainers, which most people have in their wardrobe somewhere. Okay, later, if you decide you really like it and you want to get into it in a bigger way, you can start to pick up some bits of kit. But again, if you're interested in that, there's stuff you can buy in the sales, stuff you can buy in sports shops, TK Maxx, places like that. But really, you need very little and you can get started. And suddenly you find yourself just in a different world,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I know I used it for grief, and you've used it for helping you get over burnout and get back to full health. And I think it's a perfect thing for getting over the shock of being made redundant, if indeed it was a shock. It gives you that time, that space to process things, and once you've done processing, it gives you that space to start thinking through what's next. It's good for your body, good for your blood pressure, isn't it? All those health benefits.
Yeah, I think it's one of the, I've always said, and actually research is starting to show this is true now, I've always said that walking made me more creative. It actually expands your creativity and your thinking space, just as you're saying there. And so, I often say to my clients, you can take your problems on a walk, or you can leave your problems at home and not think about them. And often you will come up with the same solution, because the space and being in the moment often just makes more space that when you come back, you have clarity. But if you actually walk and think about some of your issues and challenges, you also find yourself formulating a process, a solution. And one of the things I often do is, most of us, now on our phones, we have some kind of dictaphone type audio capturing thing. And I often will walk and just talk into that. And I'll capture just points, even tasks for my to-do list. Sometimes I've written programs or blog posts as well. But, if you unfortunately have been made redundant, let those thoughts that you're having in your head as you walk flow. Capture them onto the dictaphone, then you've got them and you don't have to worry about trying to remember them. And then when you get back, you can listen to them again. You can think, oh yeah, okay. And the other great thing is, okay, we haven't been able to do this for a while, which was walk with somebody. But now we're starting, we can do social distance walks. And of course, the social distance is getting less. But it's also, and you've been able to walk with family members, but it's a great place also to have conversations. Because when you're walking, you don't have to look somebody else in the eye.
That side by side thing.
It's brilliant. Yeah. And so you can kind of discuss with somebody, maybe you're having to talk to your partner about this redundancy and what it means for you as a couple, as a family. Sometimes that discussion is easier to have when you're walking. Or sometimes you just want to bat ideas back and forwards, or you want to walk with a friend who's good at giving you insight. And the other thing is, if you're sitting across the table from someone and they ask you a question, and you have that silence, that horrible silence, and you feel really uncomfortable. But actually, there's something about when you're walking, that silence is not nearly as uncomfortable, and it never seems to last so long, and you can just walk in silence for a while. So, it's a brilliant way to have those kind of challenging, difficult, sort of bounce ideas off conversations. So I definitely would encourage you to do that. And as you said, Paula, it's great for fitness. And you shared with me that you were just walking around the sports field. And that doesn't seem the most inspiring walk, because sometimes you can walk in beautiful woodland. But actually, it's not the walk itself, it's what it gives you. So if you're on a path like walking around a sports field and it's kind of repetitive, you can really concentrate on, again, the rhythm, you can concentrate on the thoughts, you can be thinking, because you're not feeling distracted by having to look at all the wonderful scenery, you know. And then some other times you might want that wonderful scenery, you know. But the other thing I would say with walking, and then I'll let you get another another question in if you want, is that it's a great way of learning a bit about your local area.
Yeah.
You know, I have taken people out walking with me locally who've said, I didn't even know this was here, you know, or they've seen photographs and they've said, where on earth's that? You know, and I've said, oh, that's such and such. Do you know, I didn't know that was there. And
Mm.
your own city as well, or your own town or your own village, again, you'll find that people don't know, and you don't know half of what is there. So you don't always have to go far to find a
Yeah.
walk.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is very true.
Mm.
And it's very true about that repetitive thing. So the walk that I alluded to earlier was walking around a cricket field near my mum's home, and it was the same walk every day, and I varied it by going clockwise and anti-clockwise, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But as you say, there was a comfort in that I didn't have to think about where to go. I just did it and walked my way through some bad moments and came
Yeah.
out grand. But the other thing I would say is that there is a local walk here near my home that I do on a regular basis with friends. And what's lovely about that is that you can watch the landscape change. I've walked through winter, summer, spring, and autumn, and seen how different it is. That's like catching up with an old friend who looks a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the points of connection as well. You know, you connect much more with your surroundings and the changes in your surroundings. And me too, you know, this year, I noticed this absolute phenomenal growth during spring this year. And yes, it was helped by the wonderful, you know, weather we had, which to myself, I think was nature's gift to us to help us through this terrible lockdown. But, you know, you do, and you actually connect with the ground, of course, through your feet, you know. And if any of you want to try a bit of barefoot walking, I'm a bit of a wimp on this. I like to walk in the grass in barefoot and the sand and things like that. I'm not that good on kind of rocky, gravelly ground, you know, but it does bring that connection. And I think through that connection with the land, with the ground, with the planet, with our environment, you also connect a little bit more to you, because, you know, without trying to sound too woo-woo, we all are a bit part of that, you know. This is all part of us, you know, it's this whole aspect of us.
Yeah. So let's get practical. So you said earlier that, you know, you don't need a lot, pair of trainers, even just comfortable shoes to get you going. So if you're thinking about, okay, I'm gonna get into walking, it's it's free, it's space for me, and so on. This is how I'm going to get my exercise at the moment and think things through. Is there a minimum amount of time that we should be walking to get some benefits?
I think I would say, you know, if you haven't really done it before, don't try and do too much too quickly, because you might find you're putting yourself off. So, you know, I'm trying to think back to when I started doing it seriously. I would do 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. And one thing I found was it was quite good to do first thing. I still try and do this. I don't always achieve it. Depends what else is going on. But if you can just get out of bed, pull some old, you know, like your trainers, some jogging bottoms, some comfortable stuff on, and just go out then and, you know, do 20 minutes, see how you get on. You know, you'll start to find little routes that take you out and back home. And, you know, don't worry at the beginning of walking in nature. If there isn't something within 20 minutes, just walk around the block, you know, just do something like that. And then, you know, you'll come back and you'll feel this element of virtuousness, you know, that I've been out and I've done that. And then the next day, maybe do the same for a few days, and then maybe just add a bit on, do it for 25 minutes, do it for 30 minutes. And then when you can, sometimes you might want to meet up with somebody and go for a walk, you know. Or even, I find accountability is a big thing. A lot of people, they'll do it if they can be accountable for it, because of course it's too easy sometimes to think, raining this morning, I'm not going out. Now, of course, you can do it later in the day, but sometimes to buddy up with a friend and just say, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes a day, every day this week. And I'm telling you because I'm going to pop into you every day and say, done it.
Mm.
You don't have to do a long conversation. You can just pop into their inbox, their Facebook or wherever and just go, done it. And they
Yeah.
might want to do the same with you. And you might want to give them permission to nudge you if it's got to the evening and you haven't heard from you. And just build that little bit of accountability in and see how that goes. Now, for the ladies out there, and I'm not trying to be sexist here, it's just that my business is 1 million women walking. I have a Facebook group and it's a community that you can be accountable to, and it's called 1 Million Women Walking, and it's the word one. And if you just go on to Facebook and key that in, to the search bar, you'll find us. We've now got over 4,000 women from all around the world. It's a free group. It doesn't cost you anything. People post photos, they chat to each other, we do some challenges from time to time, but it's a great community to be part of. It's positive, it's sharing, it's caring. There's no politics, there's no nastiness in it. You're very, very welcome to pop on and join that group. We'd love to have you, and you can ask questions in that group all the time, and you might find other people going through the same situation as you have. So as I say, I'm sorry, men, we don't have one for you at the moment. Maybe that'll come, but at the moment it's 1 Million Women Walking on Facebook, so you're very welcome to go and join that.
Right. Sounds good. Yeah.
And the other thing I would add is in May, the month of May is also National Walking Month. And so during that month, we did a survey just to find out if people's walking habits, what they were like during this lockdown period. And it was really interesting to find how many people had walked and how many people started walking, because of course it was something that you could do.
Yeah, about what we could do, wasn't it?
Exactly. But at least in our country, because of course in France and Spain, you weren't able to go out for a walk. And I think for our mental health, that was really important. And people did it. We asked people why they walked. And often it was for mental health. It was for self-esteem. Yes, there was some fitness in there as well. But what I want to stress to you is the mental aspects were just as important as the physical aspects. And we're going to expand that and do a bigger survey in the future. So, but it's really interesting. Most people didn't want to change their walking habits either, now that they've started walking. So, I think once you discover this form of activity, and my community and what I do is, it's not all about getting people to walk, thousands of miles. It's whatever is right for you. And if you do decide to, get one of these Fitbits or something to track your steps.
That was going to be my next question.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll allow you to ask the question as well. But if you do get one, the point I wanted to make was, it's great for improving your own benchmarks, your own steps, your own mileage, because of course everybody's Fitbit measurement will be slightly different, because we're all individuals and our step height and everything's different. But I take groups out, and sometimes I've got somebody going, oh, I've got so many steps, and somebody else saying, oh, I've only got such and such. Well, there's no point comparing against each other, but it's good for your own building, your own comparison. What was your question?
Yeah, my question was about the tech. So, some of us out here, we like our tech.
Yeah.
So have you got any recommendations in terms of, Fitbits, pedometers, that sort of thing, or even apps that, could be used?
I think for me, I think Fitbit and the other kind of trackers have sort of taken over from pedometers now.
Yeah, those are a bit old hat now, aren't they?
They are a bit passe. I'm not a techie person, so if I can manage a Fitbit, probably anyone can. But I just wear mine all the time. I've got mine on my wrist, and the nice thing is that you can buy different straps. So you can have more dressy straps and more sporty straps. And if you get them on Amazon, they're not from Fitbit themselves. They don't cost a lot of money, but it is really good to have, because it does track your steps. Now it can also track your heart rate and your miles, of course, I think calories, and it can track lots of different things. I don't bother about going into it that deep, but if you are more techie and you want to do that. The other thing is most people, again, have got a little health app on their phone, a little health app. That can be useful as well. What I find though is I don't carry my phone all the time, whereas this is on my wrist all the time. So I'm measuring steps not only on a walk, but actually steps I might use every day. So, you know, it is said that 10,000 steps a day is a great number of steps to keep us fit and healthy. I aim for 10,000 a day, but if I'm having an office day, my office is at the bottom of the garden, I do not do 10,000 steps. So again, if you're starting off, I would have a bit of a walk, like I suggested. If you've got one of these things, or even just using your phone app, see roughly how many steps that was for you, and then set yourself maybe a target of, I'm going to do this many steps consistently, and then start to raise them, you know, and gradually aim for that 10,000. But you can set your Fitbit or any of your other trackers. Fitbit just happens to be the one I use, and it's the one the majority of people use. You could say it's the one that the market has kind of capitalized on. But there are other trackers as well. But you can set it so that it pings on your wrist when you've hit your target. And, you know, we all like a bit of recognition, don't we? So, you know, it's good for that as well. But you can also...
Would you say a daily target is better, or a weekly target? Because I was thinking, you said like office days and things. Weekly target sort of accounts for that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think a weekly target's good, because then you don't beat yourself up if you don't hit it. Because, you know, well, speaking from my own experience, at the moment when there's lots going on in the office, I can do loads at the weekend when I go out for a walk with my husband, or when I have more time to walk myself. Whereas if I was doing it on a day-by-day basis, I'd probably get really fed up and demotivated. Whereas if you do it across the week. But if you link it as well to your iPad or your laptop, then you can go in. I mean, you can see it on your tracker as well, but I find it easier. And you can link it to your phone. But, you know, I see it easier on my laptop. And, you know, you can see your progress. You also can see your sleep patterns. And, you know, again, exercise will help you sleep. And at anxious times, and many of you, if you've made redundant, will be going through anxiety at the moment. Totally understandable. You know, maybe you're not sleeping as well as you were. So perhaps getting out for a walk would also help you sleep. And that's also a case for maybe doing a wee bit of an evening walk. Again, doesn't have to be a long walk, but, you know, we've got lovely long evenings at the moment. Just take yourself out.
That's where I like to walk, actually, in the evening, because I find it's got to the point where I enjoy walking.
Oh,
I've got to the point where I look forward to it. So the evening walk is my treat. It's my reward. I mean, it's summer now. I mean, I don't know what that will be like in the winter.
No, it's nice at the end of the day. And I think, you know, sometimes you can be out walking, the sun's starting to go down, and, you know, you can just feel that lovely feeling that you get, and that lovely mellow light as well. The other thing I was going to say about the Fitbit is you can link up with friends, and you can kind of do challenges with friends as well. You can put groups together, you know. So, you know, there's a lot you can do with it if you want to do with it. You can build yourself little Fitbit communities. And for some people, they need that kind of accountability challenge. For others, you don't want to go there, you know. So it's whatever you want for yourself.
But also, you know, you mentioned the community side, connection. If you're feeling, you know, isolated at this time, because you're not going to work and seeing all your colleagues, that sort of sense of connection is quite important. Something like your Facebook group, or as you say, a little sort of pod of Fitbit friends who are in touch with each other. That can be really helpful.
Because as well, you know, well, I've seen this with groups out walking that I've taken out walking. Often people who don't know people very well will find it easier to talk to them about situations they're in. And also because the other person doesn't know you in the baggage you have, they come to you from a much less attached point of view, and
Yeah.
sometimes you can get really good guidance there. So, you know, sometimes you want to walk with people who have gone through or are going through the same thing as you, because there's that support. We're in it together, we can get through this together. But then sometimes you want people who are very different from you, who just bring a different perspective, and, you know, who might suggest things you never even thought of, you know, because at this point, you know, redundancy can be a real shock. It can be a real anxious time. It can be a real worrying time. It also, for some, can be a real opportunity to reset and do something different, start again. And I'm sure some of you are listening to me thinking, oh, for God's sake. Yeah, maybe for you that's not, but somebody else might be listening and think, you know, I've been wondering about this. So it just affects all of us in different ways, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's brilliant. So lots of practical thoughts there, reasons why you should be getting out walking. Anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked or covered?
Ooh, can't think of anything else. I'm looking down at my notes here, seeing if there's anything else. No, I think we've covered it all, actually. And again, I don't want to overwhelm, because I think once you try it, once you get into it, then you can start to move to a kind of like a different walking level. Then you can find out what you need for those things. You know, one of the things I love is that on this community, even people who are limited in their mobility find a place and feel safe and welcome there. And then I have women who walk even more than I do. And I have, you know, I run programs that take people on long distance walks, and that's joyous too. And who knows, at some point in life, some of you might be looking at doing something like that, and that would be fabulous. But I think it's just what's important is where you are at the moment, and how walking can help you at whatever stage you're at. And, you know, if at any point you want to reach out to me and ask a question, I'm there for you, you know, just do. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's wonderful. Thank you, Heather.
Go join the community, go buy the book, which is available on Amazon.
Yeah, so 1 million women walking with the one for the website, with the number one. 1 million.
No, for the website, the number one. For the Facebook community, the word one.
The word one. Yeah. And the book is How Walking Saved My Life.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Heather.